What's up everyone, V here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Black Series Commander Appo, or Appo? I think it's Appo, from Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. No one puts Star Wars, they just call it Kenobi, but I think they just put Star Wars since most things have stars, so they just label like, oh, this is Star Wars, if you had no idea this was a Star Wars figure from the show, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, this review's a bit late. I got this figure like 6-7 months ago, and I was planning on reviewing it, but then I just kept thinking, I kept doing that thing where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna review this guy, and then he's next. Or I was like, oh, he's gonna get next, and then within the span of that video and then going to record his, I got a new figure that I really liked and wanted to review, and he just kept getting pushed back until I forgot about him. But the reason why his video is finally happening now is because a couple days ago, went to Target and I found the Ahsoka 501st 2-pack with this guy and the other guy. I only really pulled him out to show because these two are kind of very similar. And I was like, oh, I love that pack. I want to make a video on it. But then I remembered I've never talked about that clone mold before because I never reviewed him. So here we are, 6 months later. This is finally the review for Commander Appo. You're probably asking yourself, what makes him unique compared to a normal 501st clone trooper? And it's nothing. He is just a normal 501st trooper. If you wanted just a normal 501st trooper to army build, you could get this guy, and like there's nothing special about him. It's literally just a 501st trooper. I don't know why specifically they call him Appo, since this is from Kenobi, so it's from that flashback of Order 66, and you like kind of see the troopers for like 30 seconds in the whole show, so it's odd that they specified Appo instead of a 501st trooper, since none of them ever like have a prominent moment. It's odd, but you know what? I appreciate it because it makes him a bit more special. Although in the Clone Wars, Appo does have an arrow on his head, since I believe it's a reference to Avatar: The Last Airbender, a show I've never seen. The most contact I have with that show is through the Fortnite collab. That's saying something, but I believe the arrow was supposed to represent Aang, and I think Aang's like friend is the Appa. Name's kind of similar, and I think Dave Filoni worked on that show, so it kinda, even though I think Appo existed before Dave Filoni worked, I'm not too sure. He's not really a clone I'm like insanely familiar with, because he's never really focused on in anything. His biggest moment to shine, I think, is like that like little cameo in the Clone Wars, but he's cool, and this figure is beyond cool. This, I believe it was in my top 10 figures of the year. I do not remember what place he was. I just know that he was probably in it, because this, before I got the Mando, was, and still kind of might be my favorite Black Series figure of all time, and one of my favorite figures of all time, but we'll get into why this guy is so great. You probably already know, considering it's been out for 6 months. But before we get into this clone boy, we're going to get into the package, and breaks my heart that the new packaging has changed. Although storing it and posing the art makes sense, because now it's not slanted, it's just the box. Like, makes it easier to pose the art, but also just, I love the like look of these. I like the slant, even though it's not really too practical, but I'm going to miss it. We got Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi Commander Appo 4+ Hasbro Black Series Star Wars whole blue. Beautiful shot of him. You got like them storming the temple up there too. Looks beautiful. Commander Appo. On the back, 14, that beautiful shot again. A clone trooper in service to the Galactic Republic, Appo participated in several critical battles against the Separatists. He accompanied Anakin Skywalker to Coruscant's Jedi Temple as a part of Order 66. In conclusion, he was just killing people. Do you think he killed any kids? Probably. Here he is in all of his glory. He doesn't come with too many accessories, but this is the Black Series we're talking about. You're lucky if you get, like, anything. In his hand right now is, I don't know the names of the guns. I want to say one of them is a DC 14, 15, 16, 17 carbine. I want to say that's what this is. I don't know the guns, but this is, of course, one of them, the smaller one, in his hands, and he holds it really well, but, like, taken out of his hands to get a closer look. It looks really nice. It's just a flat gray plastic, nothing exciting about it. Then he has the bigger rifle, which looks equally as cool. I don't like this one as much because it's very obtrusive, but it looks cool, and to get that in his hands as well. Here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Look at that. Oh, that looks nice. I've never put this gun in his hand before, so it looks really good. Oh, that's nice. Oh, I love that. Really wish I made this video when I first got it, because you would have just heard me gushing about the figure, but now I'm, like, used to it, but I got gush. That doesn't sound right. But yeah, that's pretty much all the accessories. He doesn't come with much, but he comes with the essentials for a clone. What makes this guy so special as opposed to the previous clone troopers is that this figure was the first where they retooled the newer clone mold. This is the only version of the clone mold I had, but, like, you had the original clone mold, and then in, like, 2020, they made this one entirely new, brand new sculpt. I liked it more. It does have a more Clone Wars-y vibe, especially this figure since it's, based off the Clone Wars. But it's got a little janky. It's got a couple problems. But basically, this figure, they took this one, retooled, fixed everything, all the problems on this guy, and what they made was one of my favorite, probably my favorite clone trooper figure of all time. Basically, what they did is they fixed the shoulder pad problem. They were really small. They added a bicep swivel. They got rid of the knee pad being glued up there. And it wasn't really a problem, but they replaced the torso. This was just hard plastic. This is a rubbery piece, which honestly I think makes it look a bit better. I don't know, it's not as thin, and it does go down a bit further to match the more realistic vibe. All these great improvements on this figure, but the biggest one, in my opinion, is this. He has a removable helmet. This was groundbreaking because this, like, before, like, they had the head sculpt under there, it was just always glued, but this is the first time that they properly, like, gave just pretty much a generic clone trooper an unmasked head in the Black Series, and this set the precedent train for all the other ones to come. So now every new clone trooper, like these two guys, these are just basic clones, have removable helmets, and it's all thanks to this guy. And that brings me so much joy, because when I was a kid and I had, like, the clone trooper figures, I loved taking their helmets off because they have the same faces. It's not like you need pretty much unique faces. You can just have them socialize and everything, and it made them so cool and fun. And not being able to do that when they have a head under there was so annoying. But now we can, and we can have it for all the normal generic clones and the special clones as well, and it brings me so much joy. I love it so much. because now, like, all my clone boys from this guy forward can have removable helmets, and I love that. I love it so much. It's so great. Why did it take it this long? The vintage collection had it from the very beginning, but no, us Black Series people had to wait. But you know what? It's worth it. And they're kind of hammering out a lot of clones, which I hope they do. I hope they just keep giving us clones. Go back, remake the old ones. Give us a new Cody already. Jesus Christ. Heard there's going to be a new Gree, but he's not going to be camoed, which is very interesting. But yeah, this is really huge, at least for me, because I love clones. They're my favorite thing about Star Wars. And being able to, like, have all my clone boys just standing around, like, just have my just generic clone boys standing around with unmasked heads is just, oh, it's so, that's, takes me back to my childhood, brings me so much joy. I love it so much. I just had to gawk about this. Even though it's been months since I've first got this figure, I just need to gawk about how great that is. And speaking of the head sculpt, taking a look at it, it's not the best. Bringing in someone who I think achieves the Tamora Morrison likeness so much better. Fives. I don't know. He nails Tamora Morrison perfectly, but of course he has the beard and everything. This one, it's a little off. Looks maybe a bit younger, not as perfect as this one. Kind of gives more the, like, cafeteria clone guy. Maybe a mix of him and Tamora Morrison. But also, I'm not complaining, because I'm just so happy we can even have a removable helmet. And it's not bad. You can definitely see Tamora Morrison. He's got, like, little, like, scratches there. He's got that Clone Wars crew cut, which looks great. God, that's so cool. I just love that so much. And the helmet, of course, slides on perfectly. I believe this is the same helmet as the previous ones. I'm not entirely sure. The helmet that a lot of people have a problem with, because it's kind of a mix between, like, live action and Clone Wars. And a lot of people complain that this is supposed to just be straight up live action. Why isn't it, like, perfectly one-to-one? It doesn't bother me too much. Like, yeah, I can definitely see the problem with it. And when you bring in this one, you can definitely see the Clone Wars inspiration. But it doesn't bother me too much. But I will say, when I had the Phase 1 version, the Phase 1 is so much better. But, you know, maybe they will fix it down the line. If not, me personally, it doesn't bother me, but I know it does bother a lot of people. But the paint job is pretty nice. The mouth, little fuzzy on the end there, but still pretty good. You got the nice blue coming through. And one thing I want to note about the helmet is that they didn't fully paint in the black bar, because on the previous ones, this is the Jump Trooper, when they have the black brow painted, it just black right into the visor, and it looks really bad. But on this one, they painted just the middle, so that way you still have that space in between the visor and the brow, which looks really good. Another thing that probably wouldn't exist if the helmet was a bit more accurate to... because that's very Clone Wars-y with the brow being right there. So yeah. Still, it doesn't, like, kill me. Like, I can very much live with it, and I do. And I like Clone Wars. I love Clone Wars. That's where I know the clones. So having a more Clone Wars-esque helmet is just something I like more. But I know it's not perfectly accurate. But he's got the blue there. Nice gray throughout. He's got the box painted back there. Not everyone has that box painted. So I do like that little touch. And it is odd, the differences between these guys, even though they're the same design, that the paint's different. I think it's because this is Clone Wars, this is Kenobi. But yeah, you got that middle thing going through there, with the little eye there, the shoulder pads. Threw in a bit of battle damage. I don't mind battle damage when it's just paint scuffs, but when they just throw, like, weird mud, that's when it bothers me. But yeah, it looks really good. You got the nice blue ring around there. Come down to the legs. Got the blue stripes down here. Oddly enough, this one curves back, which is really odd. It's the only 501st guy that's ever done that, for me. But I guess that's how it was in Kenobi. Then you got the blue down there. The gray on the feet looks nice. And the rest of it's just standard clone trooper fare. Got some blue down there. And speaking of blue, they're not very consistent with the shades of blue on the Black Series. Just to bring in a couple, here he is next to Rex. His blue definitely matches Rex's blue a bit more, but then when you bring in, like, the Jump Trooper, or the Jet Trooper, and then this guy, these are very much darker shades of blue. It's odd, although there's more, because Fives also has the darker blue, but also most of those are Clone Wars figures. So yeah, it seems like the darker blue is more consistent. This, of course, is a lighter blue because, of course, it's from Kenobi, and that's how he looked in Kenobi. But yeah, it's odd. But, you know, it is what it is. Articulation-wise, he has a dumbbell joint, which allows him to look up that far, down that far, rotate, bit of bob. The shoulder pad is a rubber thingy that, like, connects in a ring under the arm, so you can move the arm that far forward, rotate it all the way around with the shoulder pad. Bicep swivel, single jointed elbow. This again is a rubbery piece, and it even, I think, rotates there, but it's really stiff, and that was a problem with the original one. If you wanted it to get like that, you'd have to rotate it there, and it just looked really bad. But yeah, and you can even have him answer his comms, which is really cool. It's got a diaphragm joint, which moves back that far, forward that far, rotates, and bobs. Not the greatest movement, but look at, he's so hindered with armor. And that's where we come to the legs. You still have that problem with the clones where it has to turn like that. And then kicks that far back, kind of does the splits. It's just the design. This is not a practical armor design in the slightest, but it looks cool as hell, and that's all that matters. Single jointed knee, this piece is not glued in, so you can just keep it at the bottom. You can even move it to the top, rotate it if you want. There's also a rotation there. Then up and down hinge and a rocker at the feet. So he is just stacked with articulation. Comparison time. Here he is next to an average. Ooh, it's been a minute since I've done. There we go. It's been a minute since I've done, like, a non-Marvel Legends review, so I haven't got my, like, normal Marvel Legends comparison figure ready. But for an average Marvel Legends scale figure and a Transformers Voyager class, here he is next to Moon Knight and Voyager class Shockwave. Just got this guy. Love him to death. Hopefully we'll do a review on him, but you know how I am with Transformers. I say I will, but then I never do. And then for a more 7-inch scale comparison, here he is next to the Jazz. Wears Halo and DC McFarlane, Black Manta and Halo 3 Master Chief. And for some Clone Boys, here he is again next to Rex and Fives. They look really cool together. And for some just more 501st-ish troopers, here he is next to that Jet Trooper and the Ahsoka Trooper. Both look really cool. And finally, here he is next to that original mold and the plain white Phase 2. So yeah, this figure's great, if you haven't known that. I own dozens, probably at least over 100 Clone Trooper figures, and I've been getting Clone Trooper figures ever since I was a kid, back in 2008, when Clone Wars first aired. I've been collecting them ever since. And the fact that this guy, when I got him, just felt so fresh and new, despite the fact that I already owned a bunch of Black Series clones and already owned someone kind of similar to this mold. Even then, when I got these guys, these are the same mold, they still felt so fresh and cool and unique. And the fact that they are able just to pull that off of a clone mold, like every Clone Trooper figure is based off the same design, yet they somehow made it It's not like a Spidey figure where it's like, these are slightly different designs. Like, no, these are just the same exact design over and over again, yet somehow they keep making it feel like such a brand new, fresh experience. And getting this guy, he was a dream, honestly. Like, this is like 9.5, 10 out of 10 in my opinion. The only complaint I have would be that the Tamora Morrison likeness isn't 100% spot on, and the Phase 2 helmet isn't spot on to how it looks in live action. But beyond that, this is a phenomenal figure. The fact that, like, busting this guy out of the box, he feels like a brand new, fresh experience with a figure, despite the fact that it's a design that have dozens of figures of, that I've had figures of since, like, for more than, like, 10, like, 15 years, and it's still just this fresh experience with a figure like it's the first time I've ever had a Clone Trooper figure is honestly insane. Like, this is a great figure. You're doing yourself a disservice not buying this guy. Not to sound like I got Hasbro with a gun to my head, but he's great. You know, he's so great. I don't like buying duplicates. Specifically of, like, I don't like buying duplicates that, like, have multiple of one, because if they don't have a unique difference between them, I just don't like it. So, like, if I were to get another version of a clone, say, the only reason why I'd ever get another version of him is that I know he has the weird left hand thing, so that there would be a difference between the two, which would then make them unique from each other. I don't know why, that's just me. Like, I need them to be unique from one another. But honestly, when I first got this guy, I contemplated going to Target and getting, like, 3 more of him just because of how much I loved him. This is great. I love him so much. I highly, highly recommend it if you haven't got that from this video already. As a guy who loves clones and has loved clones ever since he was little, this is a dream figure, honestly. But yeah, that's about it. Check out my previous reviews. There are going to be more Clone Boys, because getting that 2-pack made me want to review all the other Clone Boys. I just need to talk about the experience I had with this guy. But yeah, follow. Oh, got confused. Like, subscribe. Did I say that already? I don't know. Anyways, check out my Instagram, MoonExo. I'm more active on there. I'm doing a bunch of guitar videos as I am learning how to play guitar. And you can just talk to me there, see posts. That's really it. Check it out if you want. And that's pretty much it. I love this guy so much. I love the Kenobi show. I know that's a divisive thing to say. A lot of people hated it. My biggest problem, as I've expressed in the past, is how it was shot. I don't like how it was shot. Story-wise, I do like it. I just am not a fan of the cinematography. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you had a wonderful day. And, just stay as far away from any Jedi Temple as possible, because you never know when a giant army of Tamora Morrisons will march in with a dashing, handsome lad leading them and just slaughter all your friends and family. So yeah, peace.